When did you attend the YMCA, Colin?
Mainly between 1978 and the end of 1980. So when I was in the sixth form at Whitehaven Grammar School, I was 18 in 1980. It was a great place to go. We used to go and hang out and meet up with people. I played table tennis for them. I used to go in, there used to be the rooms at the front, then there was the little den downstairs.
Right.
Or there was off it with the jukebox and everything. Oh, the jukebox was great. We used to go down there and I think it was 10p for 5 songs. And I've remembered there was in 1979 UK Subs brought out a single called Tomorrow's Girls, and on the B side of it there was Scum of the Earth and Telephone Numbers, and they were both about 2 minutes and 1 minute 59 long or something like that, really short songs, and we used to just put them on and listen to them all the time rather than the A-sides.
What was your most memorable or best memory of the YMCA?
It was actually the one thing that sticks in my mind about the YMCA was I wasn't really a very good table tennis player, though. There was a lot of people that were fantastic, and I just sort of, if they were struggling, I got put in. And I joined the Royal Air Force on New Year's Eve 1980. I went away and started on New Year's Day. But before that, that's sort of one of the last times I was in the YM. I actually got asked to play table tennis, an away fixture at the Windscale Club in Seascale, and I always remember it because on the radio when we'd finished playing, I can't remember what the score was or anything, but there was 4 or 5 of us in the car coming back, and when we got just outside Whitehaven, the news was on. I think it might have been Radio 1 or something like that, and it reported John Lennon shooting. It was early. It was a Thursday or a Wednesday or a Thursday night, I remember. I don't know whether it was the reporting of him being shot and that it was the first breaking news, or it was the news that he'd actually died in hospital. I've been to the club in Seascale many times since, and I can picture it from when I went in that time.
Why did you go to the YMCA?
Well, it was just like a youth club really, but it was just a place where you could meet up with friends, and that's what we all used it as initially. Rather than trailing around the streets, if it was a wet day or something, we'd all go and play. But because we had friends, I lived on Branstey, I had friends on Kells, Woodhurst, Myrus, Ensingham. We'll all meet at the YM and then normally go and hang around the bus station for a while and then come back to the YM. And it was a lot of the time, it was in the evenings we used to go down. So I know, we didn't have internet, or we didn't have video recorders, or television was limited, so we didn't have the things that kids have now, so really you wanted to be out on the streets with your friends, and so we spent a lot of time out basically just hanging around doing nothing. But that's what it was like, when I was younger, nobody had a phone in the house really, and it wasn't a case of right, we're all going out somewhere, we'll phone you and let you know later on where we're going or something. It was a case of we're going here, if you're not here at this time and we're not there, you've missed us. But the YM was always a really good place to, just meet up. You could always say, right, we're going to go here, but then we're going to go to the YM. So if people couldn't meet you initially, you could go on later, say we'll be in the YM 8, but we're meeting up at 7 somewhere else. And it was always a place where you could hang out. And it was ideal for everybody coming into town. Everyone knew where it was, at the top of the market or the bottom of the market, whichever way you look.
What would have happened if you didn't go to the YMCA?
We would have just been, like we did, we sort of spread our time between that and just wandering the streets aimlessly in on the wet, cold nights, and we used to hang around in the bus station a lot.
Yeah.
That was the other place where people used to hang about. There wasn't a lot to do when you were a teenager in Whitehaven in the 70s. Fortunately, the Gaiety Cinema was still open, and I think the Queen's might have just been open until virtually the end of the 70s. I went with all kinds of friends from school, friends that I met at the YM, friends that lived nearby. Lots of friends that I haven't seen for years, friends that I still keep in touch with now. I used to go with Paul Greers, Clive Hornsby, Gary Tubman, Ron McCarran and Sean McCartney, all kinds. All the people who had no better things to do.
What did you eat and drink?
I don't think we really ate a lot when we were in there. We might have had the odd coffee or something. I think we sold Mars bars in like a tuck shop and crisps. But it was just a case of hanging out and catching up with people. But now and again you get a drink, biscuits or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember eating a lot in there. I'm sure there was a telly in there. This is another memory I have from it. I'd been away and I'd heard like Adam and the Ants early music, and I'd come back and talked about it, and then either we'd watched it in there or we'd watched Top of the Pops and gone down later on a Thursday night when I think it used to be on at 7 or 7:30, and Dog Eat Dog, Adam and the Ants came on. Everyone was in going, it's rubbish this Adam and the Ants. And I said, oh no, you know, I really liked it. I like Kings of the Wild Frontier and early stuff. And I said, you know, you'll get used to it. And then the next single that came out, of course, was Ant Music, which went number one.
Yeah.
And everyone was going, oh, fantastic, Adam and the Ants. Because that's what you talked about. You talked about the latest things in the charts and the latest films, and you'd go and talk about this, that and the other. And it was just a good social gathering, really. At the time, well, most of us were into punk, and it was all a skinhead thing, so we were into ska. It was a big ska culture.
Yeah.
All of us were into that kind of side of it. Yeah, I remember it was there's an entrance hall, and there was a big room, definitely, as you came in. If you turned right, there was a big room at the front. That was the main room where you met. And then when you went, if you came out of that room and turned right, directly on your right, I'm sure it was like a little cellar, but I might have just thought it was a very narrow room. There might have even been a pool table in there, but there was definitely a jukebox and I think a dartboard, and that's where we used to spend most of our time. There was another room at the front, and at the back there was the where the table tennis was. Most of the time I wore, I think from 1978 to 1980, I wore the same pair of cherry red Doc Martens with yellow laces, and I wore blue jeans, and I had either a denim jacket on, a green flying jacket, or a donkey jacket. And I had a donkey jacket, and I used to have a little bobble hat without the bobble, so I looked like Dexys Midnight Runners on the first album. I don't think they were quite drain pipes, but they were fairly snug, and they were always rolled up a bit, and I had a skinhead. And I used to wear braces now and again with a check shirt.
Do you remember any of the staff?
The one person, I can't remember any names, but there was a guy there who was fairly tall and thin with a beard, and he used to run it. Yeah, I think it was one of these places where at the time you didn't really pay any attention to who was there. They were just like people who were helping out behind the scenes, and it was a hassle-free place to go. You know, I never saw any trouble or any kind of, everyone got on together. I never went on any of the trips. I think there was actually, I'm pretty sure that my next door neighbour on Brand Street, Ian Lucas, I'm pretty sure he went on a trip to Blackpool, and I'm fairly sure that was with the YM. And the reason I remember it was, he phoned us up and said, I've missed the coach.
Going or coming back? Coming back.
And he was stuck in Blackpool and he had to get a bus. That's the one thing. I'm pretty sure it was the YM, because that's where we all used to go. Everybody. I mean, all my friends and their friends, that is a place where you used to meet up. It wasn't somewhere where only 2 or 3 people, it'd only be 30 or 40 of us at a time going.
If you could give one piece of advice to the young people of today, what would it be?
If you're given the opportunity to try something, try it. Don't regret not doing something, because too many times you find you're given an opportunity and you think, I'm not going to do it, and you miss out on something, and then you spend years later you're going, if only I'd done this, and I wish I'd done that, and you can't sort of go back. I played for Kells briefly before I joined the RAF, but I also worked in my dad's shop, Dewhurst's. So I was a Saturday boy, basically helping out in the shop. I should have played a lot more matches than I did, but because I was working on most Saturdays, I couldn't play. Yeah, so that's why I always say to my children, if you want to do something, do it. Don't feel obligated to help me out or help out at home. Do sport if you can do sport, and get out of the house. That's what I've told mine for the last 20 years nearly. Get out of the house. Don't sit in front of a screen. And the other bit of advice I've always got, I've friends that you make when you're little or when you're young, try and keep in touch with them. I meet twice a year in Manchester friends that now none of us live in West Cumbria anymore.
Right.
And there's 5 of us meet twice a year, and there's other people that come down. Out of the 5 of us, 4 of us all started school on the same day, 48 years ago or something, and we've been doing that for the last 10 or more years, I think. That's thanks to the internet, I must say, because it enabled us to get back in touch with each other. The YM was a great place in the 70s, and like I say, I probably went in a couple of times in the early 80s when I was back, but it was mainly 78 to 80. Once I'd done my O-levels, I think, and I decided to socialise a bit more rather than being a bookworm, if you believe that.